Welcome to the Prana Show. I'm your host, Louise Balodi.
And I'm Alan Balodi.
I'm Isabella Sarah Balodi. And I'm Gabrielle Letzo Balodi.
Rebecca Eanes is a best-selling author, the founder of PositiveParents.org, creator of Positive Parenting, Toddlers and Beyond, and a contributing editor to Creative Child magazine, where she does most of her writing currently. Her books are The Newbie's Guide to Positive Parenting, which has been a #1 bestseller in its category on Amazon, and a co-authored book, Positive Parenting in Action, the how-to guide to putting positive parenting principles in action in early childhood, which has also been an Amazon bestseller internationally. Her new book, Positive Parenting, An Essential Guide, will be released on June 7th, 2016. You can pre-order it now at Amazon. Rebecca is a messenger, not an expert. She writes parent to parent from the perspective of a mother who has made the paradigm shift from conventional to positive parenting. She delights in sharing her journey with her readers because positive parenting has had such a wonderful impact on her own family. She has independently researched and studied positive parenting for the past 5 years and strives to continue to learn and grow along with her children, to love well and to lead a life well lived. She is the grateful mother to 2 boys. Hi, Prana Boosters! Today's featured guest, Prana Booster, is the lovely, inspirational, courageous Rebecca Eanes. Thank you so much for being on the Prana Boost Show. I'm so grateful to have you here to share space and time with us, and it's really wonderful to connect with you today.
Hi, Tina. Thanks for having me on.
I'm excited to talk with you today to discuss basically one of my favorite topics and my life's work, which is positive, or I call it mindful parenting, and the importance of aligning our own energy as parents, right? Which we both learned is very important. We bring a lot to the table in parenting this way, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, it's so amazing how many parents are interested in this paradigm shift, and you have created a place where we have all gathered and come together on Facebook. Your page, Positive Parenting, Toddlers and Beyond, is now over 600,000 people, which honestly to me it shows how many people are interested in seeking new ways to be a parent and to be a family.
Right, it's been amazing.
It's been amazing. So your mission is very close to my heart. In our family, our biggest focus has always been connection, emotional health, and nonviolence. Like not knowing what to call it, not knowing the exact effects on the brain, not knowing the science behind it, just understanding that the way that we want to feel and be connected and is very important to us. And it's not something how I grew up. I didn't grow up in that way where everybody was very mindful of their behavior and kind of understood that there were lasting, emotional effects of how we lived and interacted together. So, when I got pregnant, that was just my mission. So I'm really happy to be on this journey with you, educating families about the importance of positive parenting. So I'm wondering if you would be willing to share your story with us of how you grew up and what led you on this journey to positive parenting.
Okay. I grew up in Kentucky. I just had the typical childhood. Like you, my parents did the best they could, and they didn't have the information that we have now. They didn't have the knowledge that we have now. And I didn't know any different, to be honest. So every child that I knew, we all had the same upbringing. And it wasn't bad. It was just different than what I'm going for now. But I started out the same way that I grew up when my children were small. I parented in a very traditional manner, and it wasn't until my oldest son was 3, and he had a newborn. Well, he had a newborn brother when he was 2, but the effects didn't start happening until he was almost 3, and he was getting to that age where I felt like he needed a bit of discipline. He was acting out a bit, and I started the way that I knew. I put him in timeout, and it was just a disaster. And we were so close for the first a couple of years of his life, we just had such an attachment and such a special bond. And that's not something that I had read up on or anything. It was just a natural thing for us. And what I felt happening when I started to use this traditional discipline was our connection was broken.
Yeah.
It was just, I kept trying my best to make it work. I would put him in the timeout, chair for so many minutes, and I would follow all the timeout rules, and we would hug afterwards, and it just never felt right. As much as I was told that this is how you're supposed to do it, and friends and parents, my parents were very much, you need to stick to this and be very disciplinary, or he'll walk all over you. Imagine what it's going to be like when he's a teenager, if he's like this now. So I really tried, and it just broke my heart, and it broke his heart. And there came a point when, after nights and nights of going to bed in tears, missing the bond that I had with him, I just said, that's enough. That's enough. This is not how my story is going to go. And so I didn't know what I was going to do, but I knew that I couldn't do that anymore. So, and what I learned later was that he is a highly sensitive child. And so I think that's really a blessing to our family, because had he been not sensitive, I don't think that timeouts would have affected him the way that they did. And I wouldn't have been led on this journey. So
Right.
He's really the one that led me down this path. It wasn't until I knew that I needed to find something new, so that we could reconnect and that I could have his heart again, because I lost it. I lost his heart during that phase.
Oh.
He withdrew from me, and I could just tell. So there was a time when I just said, this is not how my story is going to go. And I started doing a lot of research online, and a lot of what I found was directed toward attachment parenting for infants. And I wasn't seeing a lot for the stage that I was in, which was toddlers and preschoolers. And so that's where the page started. I started it one day completely on a whim, thinking, if I need this information, there are probably other parents out there that could use this information too. Because I think that, and I think and I've heard from a lot of parents since then, but I think there's just so many who feel the disconnect, and who feel heartbroken, and who feel the joylessness of going down that path, but they don't know what else to do.
Right.
And so I wanted to share with them what I was learning, and I wanted us to kind of go on this journey together. And so yeah, it's just been amazing. It's been amazing from there. I've learned and I've grown, and I keep learning and growing. I don't think it ever ends. We never get it all perfect, but it's just been really great to have up to 640 some thousand now, I think, have joined us and are going on this journey with us. And I hear from parents all the time about how wonderful it is to have that connection back, to just have the peace and joy in their home. So that's where we are now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the thing is that, like, I don't have, well, our kids don't go to school, but I don't have a huge circle of people in my life that parent this way, like, that I could just name off the top of my head or things like that. So I didn't really have anyone to go through with it either. And it is scary, because it's weird. It's like doing something so natural as being wonderful and kind and loving to your family is so almost unheard of. It's very unnatural. It scares people. And I think, of course, they weren't raised that way, so they don't know if it would work, and they're just scared that it might not work. But what we're doing is not, clearly not working. And we had a similar scenario too. Not that I had to shift what I was doing. We're constantly learning all the time, but I was literally like afraid of anger and emotion. So I needed a place to go. So yeah, a resource like yours and things that are online for all of us to go to, because we might not have that circle of support in our families or in our friends or in our schools. But I love to see how many people are interested in it, because it just shows that people are really waking up. They're really understanding that there just might be a better way. And your page and pages like that allow us to see that, be like, maybe I could do this. It kind of gives us permission, right, to parent in this new way, which is necessary, I think, for the growth and evolution of families at this time. And I think we just don't, I think years ago, I think you mentioned in this book too, we just didn't, our parents and our families were not empowered with this knowledge. It's like you said, they did the best they could. I don't think we have the ability to use that excuse in our day and time, because we can't say, well, we did the best we could and we didn't know better, because there's so many resources and so many places to go now to kind of learn how to do it better. So if parents see that it's not working, or it's not feeling good, or they're disconnected from their family, that's a clue that they could seek, help or something like that. So, so you obviously agree that the emotional health and well-being of your family and your kids is a priority.
Yes, absolutely. And I think too that it's the information is definitely out there and it's accessible to everyone. But truly, unless you're looking for it, it's not going to really come. I know that like I said, I started out parenting more traditionally, and I did that for 2.5 years, and so I didn't know any better, because like my surrounding family, my surrounding friends, my inner circle all did the same thing I did, so that's all I knew. And so it wasn't really until I decided that I was going to change my story, and I was going to bring the connection and the peace and the joy back into my home, that I got out there and started doing the research and look. So it doesn't just I don't think it just falls into our lap. I think that we have to seek it.
Yeah, you have to seek it.
Yes, absolutely. But what I want to do is I want to empower parents, and I want to inspire them, and I want to encourage them to change their stories if they're not happy with their stories. So, I've never came across as an expert. I'm a mama. I don't have a professional degree behind me. What I have is 2 children who I love with all my heart, and who I have just done the best that I could for. And what I've seen is the transformation in my own home. And so I don't share this message from an air of superiority. I'm not. I don't have any. I have a homeschool map behind me. I have a PhD back there, but I share it from my heart, because I want to see other moms and dads who are feeling broken and disconnected and hurt the way that I felt when my disconnection came with my sons. I want to empower them to change their stories and to have peace and love and joy back in their homes, because I think that we all deserve that.
Yes, and I agree with you. I like that you don't come across as a guru or an expert, because I don't either. I don't come from that place, and I think that's important, because I think that it will allow parents to know that they're capable as well. You don't have to have a PhD. You can get a PhD in nonviolence and love and peace and connection. That's something that you have to feel, and that's something that you can learn about it, but unless you practice it, experience it, and go through it for yourself, you can't really get a degree in that per se. But so I think that's wonderful, because I think that really will help parents understand that it is possible for them to do this. The other thing is that I think it's important for families and parents to know, because if they did not grow up with this, they don't even know that it's possible. So it's like we're letting them know. You and I are both becoming a model of possibility for them to see what's possible, and then they can look over here and be like, God, I didn't even know that was possible. Now maybe I can learn how I might apply that to my family. So I'm wondering for you, in my family, my experience was that I had to spearhead this journey for us. I had to become the leader. I asked my husband to do it with me, and he was like, not really interested, and I think he also didn't understand, and he didn't even know how. But I'm the researcher, and this is kind of my nature anyway. But I kind of said, listen, this is the path that I think is really beautiful for us. If I lead, and if I read, and if I research and I seek, will you support me? And he was like, yes, please, you do it. And I've got your back, So I was wondering, in your home, what was that like? I think you said you've been with your husband a really long time, like me. Yes. What did you say, like 20 years?
20 years.
Yeah.
Yes. We've been together 20 years. We've been married 14 years.
Oh my God, that's almost the same
Our
as us.
anniversary this week, so.
Oh, happy anniversary!
Yeah.
My husband and I are almost married 14 years, and we've been together over 21 years.
Awesome.
So a long time too, but it does matter to have that, that union and that connection. It does make a big difference in having the ability to bring this to your family. Do you agree?
I agree. It's very important, and I'm so blessed because my husband has always been the gentle bear. He was raised in, I would call it a positive parenting family. His parents are terrific. They all have always been unconditional love, positive, respectful. So he had an amazing upbringing, and it really shows in the way that he treats me and the way that he treats our children. And he's honestly, he's another inspiration for me to change, from what I was doing, because I could see he didn't deal with the same things, that I've had to deal with, because he didn't get that wiring when he was in childhood. So while I have to work really hard at being calm, I fight anxiety and I fight panic attacks, and I didn't get his calm manner, and it comes really naturally to him. So he's always been that calm, gentle Papa Bear.
Oh,
I didn't have to coax him at all.
that's
He
amazing.
was probably a positive parent before I was positive.
Oh, wow.
He's amazing. He really is.
That's awesome. And that's special because it is more rare, because most of us do have to unlearn and deprogram and get rid of all these scripts running in our head and all these things, and it is more challenging when you have to do that work. But I had the blessing of being on one of the Oprah Life classes when she started talking about conscious parenting. I was in the audience, and one of the things that people say is that it's not possible. It's definitely not possible. And I was so scared. My knees were shaking, but I said I had to stand up and say that it was possible because we were doing it. And people everywhere I go, they always say, oh, it might be possible for you, but it's not possible for us. And do you encounter that a lot? Because a lot of people say that. They just think that, yeah.
Yeah, I hear that. You must just have really easy children,
Right.
or yeah. It's possible. It's possible for everyone to do, and it takes union between you and your partner. You have to be on the same page. I think that's one of the reasons that I was inspired to write this book. I started writing this new book 3 years ago, and the title then was The Couple's Guide to Positive Parenting. And of course, it evolved and grew over time, and it became more of a big picture parenting book. But the basis of it, the foundation of what I was writing about, was to bring couples together, because I hear from so many parents on my page,
Yes.
and in emails, how do I get my partner on board? Because it's really, really important for just for the peace of the family to have everybody on the same team and everybody understanding it. And of course, you don't have to parent exactly the same way. My husband and I are different in some ways. He's a little more, he's a little more lenient probably, whereas I'm probably a little stricter. But there's still that underlying foundation of respect and connection and relationship.
Right.
So I don't believe that you have to be the exact mirror of your partner, but it certainly helps for everybody to have an understanding of the foundations that you want to lay. So that's a lot of what this book is about. It's about couples coming together and going through this book together, answering some really tough questions, and figuring out what you want your family to look like, what's important to you to build, and how to do that step by step.
Yeah, and I think I love that you say that. It's so similar to what I teach. I help people create a vision for their family, which I think people don't typically do. I always say past designing their room and pacifiers, and there's a lot of preparation for emotions that we have to deal with, and we're not taught that. And we're not taught that when we tour the hospital or when we go to our appointments at the doctor. Like, we're not prepared for the emotions that are going to take over our family at some point. And when you have so you have 4 people, I have 4 people, so there's four different emotions, there's 4 different moods, there's 4 different needs at a particular time that people are going through. And yeah, I mean, it's huge. And I think if people can learn that they do actually have to put some effort in. They do actually have to take the time to answer those questions. And that's beautiful. I love that. I love that your book became an essential guide for, like you said, laying the foundation. And so it doesn't mean that you're always here at this positive, peaceful, loving, right? It's not some sort of fairy tale, but it's something we always come back to because we know that it exists.
Right, exactly. I think that's one of the biggest myths. There are several myths around positive parenting. I think that the biggest myth in the traditional parenting world would be that we let our kids buy with everything, that we don't discipline, that because we don't punish, or because we choose positive discipline, that we're really just giving them a hug and a pat on the back and saying, "It's okay, sweetheart." So I think that the biggest myth with that is they think that we don't discipline, which is completely not true. I think that this requires more discipline, and when I say discipline, I mean teaching. I mean self-discipline, and it requires a lot more. It was so easy for me to tell my child, "Hey, go sit in timeout for 3 minutes, and don't get up until I tell you to."
Right.
That took no time at all.
Right.
And it takes a lot longer to bring them into time in and to teach, and to work through the situation, to teach them how to calm down, to teach them what they can do next. It takes a lot more time and a lot more self-discipline and a lot more discipline for them. But it's worth it in the end because the connection that you get. But I think another thing that we probably need to talk about more in this positive parenting community is the biggest myth is that everybody else is getting it right. Everybody else is doing it perfectly. And I'm the one that's failing. And because I'm not doing it right, my kids are going to be messed up forever. Because I think that it's important to understand that even if you're a positive parent, even if you're a gentle parent, an attached parent, whatever you want to call it, you're still a human being, and you still have moments of weakness. You still have emotions that get the best of you sometimes. So I certainly don't get it perfect every day. I don't know anybody who does get it perfect every day, but it matters. It matters that we try. It matters that we continue to grow. So I think that's really something that moms, especially moms, I think moms are really hard on ourselves. I know I've been hard on myself for years. So my new thing that I'm embracing is radical self-love.
I love it.
If I'm going to do it to my kids, if I'm going to love them unconditionally, if I'm going to give them grace, then I have to love myself unconditionally, and I have to give myself grace. And grace isn't saying it's okay that you did wrong. Grace is saying you need to do better, but I'm here and I love you and I'm going to help you. And like we give that to our children, but we don't give it to ourselves enough.
I couldn't agree more. Oh my God, I love that you're saying that. I'm sitting here. I have my iPhone here, and if I could tell you how many times I went to sleep, how many letters I have written to my children on my iPhone, where I'm like, "Dear Isabella and Gabrielle, like, Mommy is so sad about our interaction today." And as they got older, I've shared these with them, and I've told them, and I've also said it to their faces. But obviously, when they're sleeping, is when I would settle in, and I would just have all this heaviness, and I would feel so bad, and I did not give myself any type of love or grace. And my husband would always say to me, he's like, "Man," he's like, "you are so hard on yourself." He's like, you can't try to be perfect. And I had an epiphany one day. I thought to myself, if I were I would be developing really, really dangerous emotional intelligence skills for my own daughters if I would not show them any emotions, and I would pretend like I didn't have any, because they would grow up thinking they're not allowed to show any or have any. So it's interesting. I mean, even when my girls were really little, I saw the effects of this type of parenting, because I would cry or get upset or be scared by, my reaction or others' reactions. They would comfort me. They would bring me that comfort and compassion. And to see your child step up and, especially after an emotional interaction, and comfort you. And, like, I knew that I was, doing okay. And I knew that I had to convince myself that, like you said, it's not perfect. Nobody's trying to be perfect. We're just trying to be mindful and have awareness about how we act and how we speak and how we treat others, just exactly what we want to teach our children is how to show up in the world and be like that. So yeah, I love that you said that because it's so important. And it's interesting because I think to some degree we can't give them the full amount of love that we want to if we're withholding that love from ourselves or our spouse.
Mm-hmm.
We might think we're doing it, but we're not fully doing it.
Right, you can't until you give it to yourself. I think one of the most interesting things that has come from this wild journey that I've been on is, I went from a mom struggling to suddenly having this amazing resource, this amazing page. I wrote a little PDF guide. It turned into a best-selling book, and now I've got this book coming out. So it's really been an amazing journey that I didn't anticipate or plan to take. But I think one of the biggest surprises for me, if I can get a little personal for a second, because I want parents to understand that this is just real. It's not a fairy tale. It's not everybody is thinking rainbows and puppies and kittens all day. There's real people and real emotions and real families, and we're doing it. But one of the most surprising things has been writing this book, especially this book that's coming out this year. I have felt more pressure on myself to be perfect than I ever have before. I felt more pressure on my kids to be perfect than I ever did before, because I felt like the whole world is going to be looking at us now.
Yes.
People, if I want to be a parenting book author, I better get this right. And so I was very hard on myself for a while. And you know what happened is I fell apart. I just fell apart. It was extremely difficult to show up every day and give my children this unconditional love, the teaching, the patience, whenever I was so hard on myself.
Yeah.
So I've seen firsthand that one of the most important things that we can do for our families is to love ourselves, because until we can show ourselves that same grace and that same love, it's just really, really hard to show up every day and do this, because it takes a lot of self-discipline. It takes a lot of growth. You have to be willing to stretch. You have to be willing to say, you know what, I got that wrong, and I'm going to try to do it again tomorrow.
Oh my God, I'm so happy you said that, because if I could tell you the days and the times and the amount of hours that I have spent crying, because when you step forward and you publicly state that you are a certain way, or you live a certain way, or you believe in a lifestyle, you do feel the pressure to get it perfect. I have suffered from that as well. It's interesting. Even sometimes early on, my husband would say, well, this stuff's not working. It's clearly not working. Obviously, you're not getting it right, or you're not interpreting it right, or you're not reading something right. And I said, so I think we set ourselves up for this false expectation where everyone was going to be, like you said, kumbaya, holding hands, sitting in a circle and rainbows and bunnies. And I said to him one day, I said, it's not that it's not working. It's, well, what does it mean by, I asked him, what does it mean by not working or whatever? And I said, and he's like, well, it just doesn't feel good. It's just, they're still freaking out, or they're still having this emotion. And I said, you know what? But I had this epiphany that it's not about us trying to prevent emotions or not have emotional interactions or not act like a human. It's about how we manage those and how we come back together afterwards. Do we remain disconnected? Do we harm each other beyond repair? Or do we manage it in a way that everybody can calm down, realign, and then come back together and reconnect? And so we started to do this thing where we would hug as a family, and our last name is Balodi, so we called it a Balodi sandwich. And seriously, awesome. We would hug, and then the girls would come hug, but the biggest thing that I ever did was release my ego and say, like you said, I would just say to the girls, I don't know what to do. I see that you guys are upset. I see that we are all upset. What are we going to do? Sometimes I would just be crazy, and these are tools and techniques that I share now, but I would just go light a candle and everybody would be like, Mom's crazy, why is she lighting a candle? And I'd be like, I don't know, we need to like shine light on this situation, we need to, you know what I mean, like just to break the pattern of the behavior or what was happening. And you understand, we're just inventing stuff, like pulling rabbits out of our hat. And sometimes we didn't have parents that would say, I don't know what to do, or right, they would say, I'm the parent, I know best, you don't know anything. And I think that's one of the biggest shifts. If parents can understand that, and if they can come to their child with something like, I don't know, or let's see how we can work this out together, or mommy's not happy with how that went, things like that, that's gold. I mean, that's amazing. That's going to raise a whole new kind of generation of kids.
I think one of the most important phrases that I have learned is, how can I help you?
How can I help you?
What do you need from me? Because, I write a lot about looking behind the behavior to see, the underlying issue. Yeah. It's not always easy to discern what that is, though, to be honest. Sometimes I have no idea. I have no idea why he chose to do what he did.
I think sometimes they don't know. They don't always know.
Yeah. But they know. I think they know what they need intuitively. So I go to him and I say, I don't know what's going on, but tell me how I can help you. And they're out of that toddler stage now. They're 9 and 7, so they can tell me. They can express it. And when they were toddlers and I didn't know, then I just offered them comfort and teaching and did the best that I could. And that's all that we're all doing, is the best that we can.
Yeah.
This is not about having perfect kids. This is not about being a perfect parent. This is about having perfect, well, not perfect. This is about having good relationships. This is about having sustaining relationships. It's about being connected. It's about knowing each other. I think that we all long to be known and loved. And I think that is a big part of what positive parenting is about. It's saying, I see you, you're important to me, you matter, and I'm here for you. I'm going to teach you, I'm going to hold your hand, and we're going to get through this life together, and I want to love you no matter what. And at the end of the day, if that child goes to bed knowing that he or she is fully known, accepted, and loved, you're doing okay. You got it.
Absolutely. I love that. You couldn't have said that more beautifully. That was my prayer. That was my dream for my kids and my family, and I wanted them to experience that, and I knew it was possible. I knew it was possible to do that. And I hear a lot of people say, I just want my kids to be happy, and I just really love my kids. And I would want to say to somebody, I would rather not be loved in that way. Like, please don't love me then, if that's what you think love is. Like, I have a different definition of love. But sometimes I work with parents, and I try to say that it's really a mindset. It's really changing your mind about what it means to be a parent. For you to be able to approach your child, instead of telling them what's wrong or judging their behavior or telling them what do you think, for you to be able to be open enough and go to them and say, how can I help? What do you need? I mean, you're asking these empowering questions that are even allowing them to figure out that they can even think of what they need, right? Instead, a lot of times we assume, we make excuses, we talk over them. Don't you agree? Like, they bring so much forth to the relationship. Like, my kids are like the best problem solvers. I mean, they'll come up with ideas that I never even, contemplated in my own head. And so, I remember early on, my husband would be like, oh, they must be tired, or, oh, they're just hungry. And my kids would literally say, Daddy, that's not true. That's not true. Something else is going on.
Yeah.
And he would be like, oh, okay. Well, and I would tell the kids, I'd say, even if it's true that you're hungry, that doesn't mean there's not another reason, or there's not something else that's bothering you. So let's feed you, and then we'll talk about, whatever else might be going on for you. Yeah, and so just not speaking for them, too, I think is really important. So that ability that you're talking about to actually listen is just very rare, to be able to listen and listen to it. Let a child be heard. I also have parents who say, I really want my kids to be happy, but I can't handle that they want to wear, mismatched socks. Or things like that. Like, they have a hard time, wondering what people are going to think, and society. And I think that your book and your teachings and your page really support allowing the child to be seen and heard and liked and valued for who they are, not who we want them to be. So I'm very grateful to you.
Thank you. That's my hope. I want people to be able to change their story, because it's possible. It's possible to not be locked in power struggles every day.
Mm-hmm.
I see so many parents locked in power struggles every day. I can't get my kid to do this. I don't know what to do. Just wait until he's a teenager. It shouldn't be so filled with strife. Like, it doesn't have to be that way. And I think one of the things that I say at the beginning of my book was I was trapped in the net of societal expectations.
Right.
And I made it out. I made it out of that net, and I want to free everybody else. So that's really what my work is about. It's not about a formula. It's not about, hey, do this and your kids will grow up and be awesome, perfect, wonderful people, and everything is going to be hunky-dory. But it's saying that, you know what, you can have a home that is peaceful, connected. You can have the family that you want to have, that is your heart. And they're going to grow up okay. They're going to be okay because they were loved deeply and they were known. And that's really what we all need. That's what we need. Kids are already good people.
Yeah.
We don't have to make them into something. They come here full of love and purpose, and it's just our job to nurture and love and guide. It's not our job to whittle away and create something amazing. They come here amazing. So it's just about giving them the environment that they need to thrive in.
I agree. I love that. And everybody should know that it's not an easier path. It's not taking the easy way out, and it's not a lack of it's not a lack of anything. It takes a lot to live this path. But like you said, it's worth it and it's possible. And tell us, when is your book coming out?
It's going to be out June 7th of this year.
And the title is?
It's Positive Parenting, an Essential Guide. Let me just give you a quick overview of what this book is about, because I have written 2 other books, The Newbie's Guide to Positive Parenting, which is really just an introduction to the basics of the philosophy. It's about changing your mindset, those sort of things. And then Positive Parenting in Action, I actually wrote with my friend Laura Ling, who is just fabulous, and she helped me write this book about, because I kept getting questions from parents. Well, it sounds really great, but I don't know how to apply it.
Right.
You tell us what not to do, but you don't tell us what to do. So this book is a what to do book. Right here. What to do.
Ah, there it is.
There it is. And it walks you through, I think, 40 or more scenarios to just show what positive parenting looks like. Because if you've never seen it, it's tough to understand.
Yeah.
This book was birthed out of the idea of wanting to help parents come together. So that's where it started, and it grew into like a whole picture book. So we just for a second. So the chapter listing is you're going to get the positive parenting philosophy. So I'm going to talk about what it is, the 5 principles, brain science 101. I'm not a neuroscientist, but I know a couple, so I draw off their work and some supportive research. And then we talk about important self-work, because that's the first step of changing your home, the first step of changing your relationship with anybody, with your child, with your spouse. It all starts inside. You have to do the self-work. So I talk about rewriting your story, which was a really powerful exercise that I did early on. And then I talk about changing your thought patterns. If you have negative or toxic thought patterns, how to build new pathways in your brain to make it more positive. Identifying triggers and learning self-discipline is really a huge thing in positive parenting. I think that until I always say you can't discipline your kids until you can learn to discipline yourself, because they're not going to listen. to someone who can't do it themselves.
Right.
And from there, we go to United We Stand, which is a chapter about bringing your ideas together with your spouse or your partner, coming together on the same page. It's really a chapter that goes into 15 tips in how to strengthen your relationship, what your beliefs are about parenting, where those beliefs came from. So this book digs a little bit deep into some of those things. Communicating effectively is the next one. We talk about positive communication skills and give you some exercises. Building a foundation of trust. So now you're building it with your infants, your toddlers, your preschoolers. It goes through every stage of childhood. Defining your family culture. Now we're moving into the pillars of family culture. Creating your blueprint, which is your family mission statement. Routines, rituals, taming sibling rivalry to create a culture of peace. And then seeing children in a new way. The cultural ideas today are very negative toward children.
Yes.
Twos, thunderous threes, fearsome fours. We have such negative language about children. We're going to address that in this book. We're going to challenge it because it needs to change. Raising emotionally healthy children. We're moving away from shame. We're moving away from conditional love, and we're fostering healthy self-esteem, healthy confidence, and then trading punishment for solutions. It's about positive discipline and how to get out of timeouts, how to get out of grounding and taking things away and move to a relationship where you're working together, you're cooperating. So this book, it's not a book about discipline. There's a chapter about discipline, but the book is it's the whole picture. It's because it takes so much more than discipline to raise a child. That is such a small picture. And what I really wanted to do with this book is I wanted to take that small picture and I wanted to expand it. Let's look a little wider. Let's look a little broader at what's going on here, because so much goes in to raising our kids. So much affects how they turn out, than just the method of discipline. Let's look at the bigger picture. So that's the book in a nutshell. At the end of every chapter, I have discussion questions. You can talk about this with your spouse or your partner, and it's going to really help you tease out some information and help you get on the same page. And then putting it into practice is at the end of every chapter, and that just shows you how to bring it into your home and bring it to life. So it's available for pre-order now. I hope that if you go ahead and pre-order it, keep that pre-order number, because on my page soon I'm going to be sharing how you can use that pre-order number to get in a special Facebook book club that I'm going to be hosting. So we'll all be in a group together. We'll work through this book. We'll work through the chapters one by one together in our group. So keep that pre-order number and look on the page for some information coming up soon about that.
That's awesome. Oh, wow. Thank you for sharing. I love that. I love everything you said. It sounds amazing, and people need it. They need those step-by-steps. Can you imagine if we had that? Wow. That's so beautiful. I'm grateful that you were able to put that together. So I will actually have links to all of your information and to your book when we launch this podcast. But I want to thank you so much for being with us today and sharing your story with us and sharing your vision and how it came to be, and being so generous with yourself and your stories to help others, because it's totally needed and wonderfully appreciated. I encourage all of our listeners to listen to you, connect with you, and join your social media pages to follow along. And that's going to be awesome about that new group, because I think holding hands and helping each other, cross the bridge over to this new type of parenting is necessary. We need each other to do that. So you can learn more about how to benefit from parenting in this way, so you can create loving, connected, peaceful relationships with your family. And that's it. So thank you so much for being with me, Rebecca. I really appreciate it, and I want to say namaste to you.
Thank you. It's been great talking to you. I love what you're doing. Your message is so important to this world, and thank you for sharing what you share. You're an inspiration. You're awesome. Thank you so much for everything.
Oh.
You're a super great friend.
Oh, thank you, honey. You too. I appreciate you being with me today.
Thank you.
Bye.